A cursed monkey toy, a trail of freak deaths, and two brothers haunted by a deadly past. When Hal tries to escape the nightmare, fate pulls him right back in, because once the monkey starts playing, there's no stopping it. And this time, it's not just after them. It's after everyone. The movie starts with a man, covered in blood, walking into a pawn shop to sell a creepy wind-up monkey toy. This man is Captain Shelburne, and the toy is an eerie-looking monkey sitting with two drumsticks in its hands. The shop owner, who used to play drums with Shelburne, notices the blood and asks about it. Shelburne replies that the blood isn't his. The shop owner refuses to buy the monkey, claiming it's broken because one of its hands is raised. However, Shelburne insists that the raised hand is a sign of danger, implying that if the monkey starts playing the drums, someone nearby will die. Just as he says this, the monkey suddenly begins playing its drum. At the same time, a rat gnaws through a rope, triggering a series of events that ultimately result in an arrow being fired straight into the shopkeeper, killing him instantly. This horrifying moment confirms that whenever the monkey plays, someone dies. Realizing the danger, Shelburne decides to destroy the monkey and throws it into the fire, hoping to end the curse. However, before he leaves, he ominously says that he's leaving this terrible burden for his sons, hinting that the monkey's evil isn't truly gone. The story then shifts to the year 1999, where we meet two teenage twins, Hal and Bill, who live with their mother. They are the sons of Captain Shelburne, but their father is absent from their lives. Their mother tells them that one day their dad went out to buy cigarettes and never came back. However, as viewers, we have a pretty good idea of what really happened. Though they are twins, Hal is 3 minutes older than Bill and always holds it over him, often bullying him. Their mother is frequently busy with her own matters, so the boys mostly spend time together. One day, while exploring their dad's old closet, they find his uniform in a large box. Inside the box is the same cursed monkey toy. Written on the box are the words, "Put the key in and see what happens." Curious, Bill urges Hal to wind up the monkey, and Hal does so, but nothing happens. Thinking it's broken, Hal puts the monkey back in the box. Later that day, Hal, Bill, and their babysitter, Annie, go to a live restaurant. As they leave the house, Hal notices the monkey sitting inside their car, even though he's sure he left it in the closet. He brushes it off, assuming someone moved it. At the restaurant, Bill, who has a crush on Annie, tries to impress her. Everything seems fine until Hal suddenly hears the monkey's drums. Right at that moment, a chef accidentally drops a knife, which flies through the air and fatally strikes Annie. She dies on the spot. Hal is shaken, realizing that the monkey played its drums and then someone died, just like before. Their mother consoles them, saying that life is unpredictable and death is inevitable. However, Hal isn't convinced it was just a freak accident. He returns home and confronts the monkey, asking if it caused Annie's death. Bill walks in, bullies Hal, and mocks him, forcing him to insult the monkey. The next day at school, Hal is humiliated when he finds out Bill spread the story about the monkey, making him the laughingstock of his classmates. Upset, Hal returns home and goes straight to the monkey. Out of anger, he winds it up again and says, "This time, kill Bill." The monkey starts drumming, and we see Bill arriving home. He talks to their mother, but suddenly, her ears start bleeding, and she collapses. Yes, instead of killing Bill, the monkey claimed their mother's life. Doctors later determined that she suffered a rare brain hemorrhage. However, Hal knows the truth. He was responsible because he wound up the monkey. Feeling guilty and terrified, he cuts the monkey into pieces and throws it in the garbage. But the monkey returns on its own. Once it marks someone, it never lets them go. Bill is devastated by their mother's death. He refuses to change out of his funeral clothes, as if staying in them will prevent further tragedy. Now orphaned, the boys are taken in by their uncle and aunt, who live in Maine. While there, Hal confesses to Bill about the monkey and how he had wished for Bill's death, but their mother died instead. Bill doesn't believe him and suggests they test it. Hal hesitantly winds up the monkey again. The next day, their uncle is killed in a freak accident during a hunting trip when he is trampled by a horse. Now, both boys realize the monkey is real and incredibly dangerous. Determined to stop it, they seal the monkey in a box, wrap it in chains, and bury it deep inside a cave near their aunt's house, hoping no one else will ever find it. With that, the events of 1999 end, and the story jumps 25 years into the future. Now an adult, Hal works as a storekeeper and has completely cut ties with Bill. He doesn't even want to know where Bill is, fearing that any contact might bring back the curse of the monkey. He lives cautiously, always wary of the past catching up to him. One day, Hal requests a 2-day leave from work to visit his son, Pete. We learn that Hal is divorced and his ex-wife has remarried. He sees Pete once a week, but this time he receives devastating news. His ex-wife and her new husband are filing for full custody, meaning he will never see Pete again. This is his last week with his son. Heartbroken, Hal decides to make the most of their time together. He takes Pete on a road trip, and they stay in a motel for the night. However, what Hal doesn't know is that the past is about to catch up with him, and the cursed monkey might not be buried as deeply as he thought. Pete asks his dad, Hal, about their family history, wondering if he has any brothers. Hal, without hesitation, lies and says, "Nope, I'm an only child." Meanwhile, in Maine, Aunt Ida is home alone when she hears a strange noise. Since she lives alone, she doesn't take any chances. She grabs a gun and starts investigating the house. After making sure no one has broken in, she begins climbing the stairs to check the upper floor. Then suddenly, bang! The sound of a monkey toy's drum fills the house. Before she can react, the wooden stairs beneath her collapse, and she falls hard, injuring herself. Thankfully, she survives, but she's in bad shape. She stumbles to a mirror and starts pulling out wooden splinters. But then, sniff, sniff, she smells gas. Following the scent to the kitchen, she realizes there's a gas leak. Just as she's checking it, a spark ignites, and her head bursts into flames. She rushes out of the house, desperately trying to put out the fire, but in her panic, she runs straight into a billboard. And just like that, Aunt Ida is gone. Meanwhile, Hal has a nightmare. In it, he sees his mother, but not how he remembers her. She looks terrifying. He wakes up in a panic, sweating bullets. Then his phone rings. It's Bill, his long-lost brother. Bill hasn't contacted him in years, but now he's calling with a warning. The monkey toy is back, and it's coming for our family. Naturally, Hal is confused. The monkey! Who is it going to kill? But before Bill can answer, there's a short circuit in the motel's air conditioning. Sparks fly, and the unit falls into the swimming pool outside. Right then, a girl dives into the pool. Big mistake. The moment she hits the water, electricity surges through it. The pool becomes a giant death trap, and she doesn't stand a chance. She's electrocuted instantly. Hal watches in horror. He finally realizes that just saying the monkey's name is enough to bring disaster. Terrified, Hal wants to take his son Pete and leave immediately. But Pete insists they go to Aunt Ida's house first. Reluctantly, Hal agrees, hoping this won't be another terrible mistake. Back in town, people are auctioning off Aunt Ida's belongings, and a boy named Ricky buys the creepy monkey toy. As he looks at it, we get a flashback. Ricky's dad once gave him a similar toy, but Ricky's mom hated it and always said his dad was a bad man, too distracted by his private affairs with other women to be a real father. As Pete and Hal arrive in town, they meet Agent Barbara, who tells them about all the bizarre accidents happening lately. People are dying left and right in freak incidents. Pete also learns that Hal has a twin brother. Barbara takes Hal to a storeroom to check if the monkey was found at the auction. But just as she opens the door, boom! A shotgun inside goes off. Barbara is hit and dies on the spot. And wouldn't you know it, the monkey toy is sitting right there, its symbols clashing. This thing is definitely on a mission. The police arrive, telling them to leave town, but they refuse. Outside, some hippies are partying, completely unaware that they might be next on the monkey's hit list. Meanwhile, Hal calls Bill, now convinced that Bill must be in town but is avoiding him on purpose. Hal issues a threat, trying to force his brother to meet him. Here's the big twist. Bill is actually behind all the chaos. He's been living in the town, and guess what? He has the monkey. Turns out, after Ricky bought the toy at the auction, he sold it to Bill. And since then, Bill has been orchestrating these horrific accidents. See, Bill never forgave Hal. He believes their mother and their babysitter, Annie, died because of him. According to Bill, the monkey toy only comes to life when its key is turned, and Hal was the one who turned it. So when they tossed the monkey into a cave as kids, Bill later went back to retrieve it. He couldn't find the toy, but he did find its key. Ever since then, he's been obsessed with finding the monkey again. And when Ricky unknowingly handed it over, Bill's revenge plan was set in motion. Now Ricky, wanting his monkey back, visits Bill. The toy reminds him of his father after all, but Bill refuses to give it back. Later, Ricky spots Pete and Hal at Aunt Ida's house. Armed with a gun, he storms in, kidnaps them, and delivers them straight to Bill. Bill forces Pete to enter his house and retrieve the monkey. Before Pete goes, Hal desperately warns him, "Whatever you do, don't give the monkey its key." Pete is smart, though. He dodges all the traps Bill has set up and finally reaches him. Bill demands he wind up the monkey, and Pete reluctantly does. Immediately, outside in a parked car, Ricky is struck by a bullet. He barely survives the shot, but then buzzing fills the air. A beehive nearby is disturbed, and angry bees swarm into Ricky's car through a broken window. Before he can react, they invade his mouth, stinging him from the inside. It's as gruesome as it sounds. The monkey has claimed another victim. Inside, Pete is now alone with Bill. Hal, desperate to save his son, escapes from his car and rushes toward the house. But the moment he steps inside, one of Bill's traps activates. Hearing Hal's voice, Bill loses it. Instead of turning the monkey's key, he grabs its hands and forces them to move. The monkey doesn't react at first, but then its expression changes. It wants to play the drum. Hal and Bill have a tense moment, finally confronting their past. Hal tells Bill that their mother's death wasn't intentional. She was their mother, and she loved them both. For the first time, Bill seems to listen. The brothers start to reconcile. But then, the monkey starts playing its drums on its own, and this time the destruction is immediate. The roof of Bill's house collapses, and one of his own traps activates. A cannonball launches straight at him. Bill doesn't stand a chance. It hits him, and he's gone. Outside, chaos erupts. Planes start crashing from the sky. The entire town falls into disaster mode. The monkey is bringing about the apocalypse. By morning, Hal and Pete barely escape. They sit in their car, ready to leave this cursed town behind. But then, in the back seat, the monkey toy sits there, silent, waiting. Instead of throwing it away, Hal and Pete decide to keep it. Their logic? If they have it under control, maybe they can prevent more destruction. As they drive away, they spot a ghostly horseman on the road. He crosses in front of them, making the sign of the cross. And with that, they continue forward as the nightmare finally comes to an end. Or does it? If you like this movie, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel.